Less than 3 years after the Lagos State House of Assembly passed into law the Neighborhood Safety Corps Bill for the control of neighborhood safety corps activities, the lawmakers have gone back to the drawing board. Certain sections of that law are presently being amended. This was the focus at the plenary this week. Everyone welcome. This is Lagos Parliament and I am Abimbola Agbebi.
Get closer to your legislators. See them in action as they deliberate on moving the state forward. Watch updates on weekly events, presentation of bills, passage of laws, adoption of resolutions, and many more. Also, get a chance to meet the lawmaker of the week and watch the legislators. Observe plenary in Yoruba language. Lagos Parliament, every Thursday 7:30 p.m. and Sunday 11 a.m. respectively on TVC News Nigeria and TVC Entertainment. Lagos Parliament, bringing the legislators closer to you.
Community policing has always been top on the priority list of the current administration in Lagos State. Efforts in the last 3 years geared towards security of lives and property have no doubt shown the disposition of the state towards maintaining a secure and crime-free environment. Lawmakers in the State House of Assembly have played a huge role in achieving this feat. The House started by coming up with a Neighborhood Safety Corps Bill. The bill, which was later passed into law and assented to by the governor of the state, was to complement the efforts of the Nigerian police in curbing crime. The corps members soon began work with an agency created to regulate and manage its affairs. Less than 3 years after, the lawmakers observed certain irregularities in the law and quickly moved to make some amendments. Funding tops the list of the sections of the law that are to be amended.
Since this bill was promulgated to law, we will observe that there are some inhibitions and impediments that have been clogging the wheels of its progress, and there's a need for us to critically look into the bill. And the bill was recalled for consideration by the House, and we extensively deliberated on it at a retreat we held recently to consider the efficacy and desirability of the law. We observe, sir, Mr. Speaker, that the law is in need of overhauling because of operational issues that have suffered since it became operational.
Mr. Speaker, this is a bill to strengthen further the activities of these neighborhood safety corps that has really complemented the effort of the police in the state. Part of the thing, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that we add to the responsibility of the corps the duty to create awareness and sensitize members of the public in respect of their consciousness to security and security issues. Also, Mr. Speaker, the secretary to the agency is proposed by this bill to be highly competitive in such a way that it will be advertised in National Daily, and people that are interested will be subject to proper screening to be sure that we further strengthen the
enough that we could see the impact of that agency of government. However, we discovered that one of the major challenges they are facing today has to do with funding. And it is imperative that if this house could be the father of the neighborhood corps, because that law emanated from this house, and coupled with the fact that they are doing well, there is the need for us to reciprocate. And that's why we clamored for additional 10% from Security Trust Fund, so that it can meet all their requirements. We know presently they have a lot of challenges that borders on their effectiveness because they could not meet some of their requirements in terms of maybe getting gadgets that can support them. Security is very serious, and it's a serious business. Ditto neighborhood agency. 5 years from 4 years, we allow the agency to move on without vacuum. And I think, by and large, it will make policing effectively at our community level. So in the light of that, Mr. Speaker, my colleague, I will crave your indulgence to allow for this bill to have easy passage to the next committee. Thank you.
Without having to repeat what my colleagues have also mentioned already, I would quickly like to state some sections of the proposed amendments that we need to look at and the advantages. One of them, like Honorable Lowo said, adding the 10%, but more importantly, we're requesting that the local government contribution not be donation or grant, it should be subvention. So that makes it certain, that makes it sustainable, that makes it possible for the funding of the safety corps to be more assured. Also, the reporting of the safety corps to the chairman of a local government, as the case may be, rather than it being daily, which could be too cumbersome for anybody, it's now being changed to it being weekly. This is something that is also very functional. Then adding the regulation approval law, which is necessary, it wasn't there before. Any regulation is a subsidiary law, and this House of Assembly should be part of it, so that is also being included. Then also, we're trying to change the use of executive secretary to secretary, which is more acceptable to the House. However, I would implore whichever committee is looking at this should look at other areas. There are some other areas the word executive is still being used for the secretary rather than the executive, rather than just secretary.
It was also discovered that local government chairmen had no smooth relationship with the neighborhood corps. This has largely affected their smooth operations in the communities. A resident of the local government is now on the board that oversees the agency.
This bill will be more inclusive because we know that neighborhood has to do with community, and we cannot separate the local government from that community we are talking about. Hence, they need to have representative of the local government chairman on the board. I think it's a great one.
Before now, we observed some areas of the law that left too much to be desired. For example, local government chairmen who quote unquote are regarded as chief security officers in their own respective localities did not have any synergetic relationship with the Lagos Neighborhood Safety Agency. There was mutual exclusivity between the two institutions. So we believe that we needed to synergize them together, because without that synergy, the purpose of the neighborhood, as the name implies, neighborhood security or safety agency will be defeated, because there's a need for the agency to be highly localized. But the operations must be localized in nature. They must be first and foremost responsible for the protection of lives and properties within their respective localities. And if somebody is going to be responsible for a particular locality and is not in interaction, is not in cooperation, is not in collaboration with the local government authorities of that area, what manner of excellence can be expected from such an exercise? It will be merely academic, merely elitist, or floating, which will not be deeply rooted or found on the ground. So we need to spell out things clearly, and we have a duty to make the law as reader-friendly, as user-friendly as possible. People should be able to decipher the law and to be able to discern what the law wants and what the law does not want. So the intendment of the legislature must be perfectly felt by the electorate or by the citizenry. So right now, the law has provided for a regulation to be made by the agency that will be subject to the approval of the Lagos State House of Assembly, so that there will be clear-cut operational guidelines, clear-cut operational modus operandi and organogram of the agency. The agency is designed to work like a typical paramilitary agency, not just a docile another arm of the extension or an extension of the civil service. It's not an office job per se, it's an on the spot, on the field job that feels the impact of what it is meant to feel, and not just staying somewhere and imagining there's no hypothetical security anywhere. You cannot imagine security. Security is engaged. Security is encountered. It's something that you have to live by and live with, not something that you just sit down in the confines or comfort of your room or your office
and imagine what's happening outside there. If you don't get first-hand information or what's on the street, then you cannot feel the actuality of the security.
Crime rate in the state, though, is said to have reduced drastically than what it used to be. The lawmakers still insist there's more work to be done by the Neighborhood Safety Corps in achieving the purpose for which it was created. The House is confident that the amendment, when successfully completed, would strengthen the law and bring about the desired result, which is to have a crime-free and secure environment.
The Lagos State House of Assembly has called on President Muhammadu Buhari to caution the Nigerian customs over reckless termination of lives while chasing rice smugglers. The House was reacting to an unfortunate incident that claimed the life of one Mrs. Patience Oni recently. The issue, which was linked to the Nigerian customs, was raised on the matters of urgent public importance at the plenary.
On the 28th of November 2018, Tuesday, the Nigerian customs officers were shooting sporadically while chasing some people with rice, illegal, maybe importation or whatever. In the course of doing that, they killed a woman, an innocent woman who was just on her own, doing her own business in that area, very close to 4th petrol station, around the roundabout in Badagry. And this woman died. Another person was also wounded. And the woman that was killed actually had nothing to do with rice. So the way they are going about killing our people is becoming very unfortunate, especially in my constituency. That's why I want to bring it to the nose of the House, sir, that we prevail on the Nigerian customs to stop this thing. It's as if we are under siege. A situation whereby an innocent person, somebody bought a bag of rice or whatever, and you are unable to catch him or her at the border. Right in their village, in their house, you come there to come and start shooting at them. It's a big problem in Badagry, in my area, and I think I need this House to assist us to prevail on Nigerian customs, as well as Customs General, to do something about this. Thank you very much, sir.
Our border between here and Benin Republic, if you want to measure it, is not less than 30 kilometers away or more. So I wouldn't know what they have been doing, where the smuggler will take the rice across the border and then come into the residential area, and they will be pursuing the this set of people. From there, they've been killing innocent souls. I could remember last year I raised a similar issue that the Nigeria Customs Service killed a organizer in my own area, simply because they are pursuing a smuggler of rice. And I think it's high time the Customs Service should limit their activities to the border rather than within the residential area. It
appears as if there is no government in the country anymore. People are just doing what they can do according to the might that they have, as the might is right. So I want us to join in the prayer that the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces should kindly prevail on the security agencies to please put human face to what they are doing.
We mentioned that the Nigerian Customs left about 40, not only 30 kilometers, you are talking almost 70, 60 kilometers from Idiroko to Ifako-Ijaye. I think we said it here on that day that the Nigerian Customs should be called and they should minimize all these their unlawful activities they are doing coming to the cities, to the town, pursuing what have left about 50, 60 kilometers away from where they said they should be protecting our border area. The same thing happening in Badagry, last week, which is very, very uncalled for. And I think I want to appreciate the Nigerian police, particularly Badagry division area, where they arrested the custom officer. I think they have been taking them to Panti for further investigation. And to me, and this house also, I'm supporting my colleague, that we should also assist our constituents by ensuring we pursue this one to the end, that is making that we should charge the Nigerian customs, particularly those people that were involved into the to the court, that we shouldn't sweep this one under the carpet and leaving them alone, because if we continue leaving them, they will continue doing more. So to me, Mr. Speaker, I'm also supporting Honorable Setonji and other colleagues that have said we should call on Nigeria Custom, not that I should call them alone, that we should ensure that we should give our constituents the maximum support to go into the
persons that are affected now have rights under the law to claim compensation. So the family of the deceased should press this case, and when they start to pay compensation, though no amount of money can compensate life, but at least if the person cannot, the Nigerian Custom will be, when they know how much they are paying, they will now know that it is not just punishment of sentence, that imprisonment and the rest of it that is available to them.
Honorable Setonji. Thank you very much, sir. As a matter of urgency, to direct its officers to be more civil and stop illegal termination of life, especially in the border areas. I also call on the Commissioner of Police to ensure that the arrested custom officers are, taken to court and treated in line with the criminal law of Lagos State. I so move.
I think we should step further the prayer beyond the custom organization itself by calling on the presidency to intimate presidency of what has been happening and the way and manner with which the custom agency has been going about its operation with reckless termination of life of innocent citizens of this great country. For me, it further confirms the fact that the custom has become so inefficient in their assignments. If you have to change bags of rice from border up to the internal town of the Lagos State, which shows they've not been able to manage the border and they've not been able to police the border to prevent smuggling. So we should take this further beyond the custom. If they remain helpless to what we have sent to them in the past, which means we should inform, the presidency who has, authority over the Nigerian Custom. Mr. Clark, I hope you can take this in. All in favor, say ayes. Those against, nay. The ayes have it.
The standing orders and business rules of any legislature defines its parliamentary procedures as shown in how it carries out its proceedings. At a consultative meeting held recently in Abeokuta, Ogun State capital, a decision was made by speakers of the State Houses of Assembly in the Southwest region to review and harmonize standing orders and rules of business. How significant was this move made by the legislators?
Standing orders are the formal written rules adopted by the Assembly to govern its proceedings. The continuing of standing nature of these rules means that they remain in effect until the House itself decides to suspend, change, or replace them. State Houses of Assembly in Nigeria, just like the National Assembly, operate rules or standing orders similar to the rules of most parliaments in the world. In practice, research has shown that the rules of business adopted by the Nigerian legislature are a hybrid of the British House of Commons standing orders and the American congressional rules of the House of Representatives or standing rules of the Senate. As was the case with the State Houses of Assembly in Nigeria, the need to review and harmonize the standing orders and business rules of the state legislature and the Southwest region became paramount. Abeokuta, Ogun State capital, was the location. Here, principal officers of the various Houses of Assembly in the Southwest came together to carry out the task. The head of Conference of Speakers in Nigeria, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, declared the meeting opened.
Indeed, a pleasure to welcome you all to this illustrious assembly, which is poised at ensuring that the state houses of assembly in the country work together towards a common goal of entrenching the power of the legislature. I must appreciate the fact that this gathering is made possible for us to chart a good course for legislature in individual states, which is regarded as the bulwark of any democratic society. Distinguished guests, may I let us all know that during the last meeting of Southwest Legislative Reform Implementation Committee with Southwest speakers, one of the resolutions that was to review and harmonize the standing orders and rules of the business of various houses of assembly in the Southwest region in particular. You will all agree with me that the first and most important sources of parliamentary procedure are found in the Constitution of the country. The Constitution spells out the powers of the Parliament to exercise the legislative powers it derives from the people and the limitations placed on it.
Part of the reasons for the review of the standing orders and business rules is to have uniform rules and procedures for identity and common legislative administration. The harmonization is also targeted at formulating rules and procedures in line with international best practices that will sustain parliamentary ethics and privileges of legislators of each member state. The lawmakers believe that violation of the procedures would be impossible for members across the Southwest once the rules are harmonized. In other words, the harmonization of the rules is expected to curb misconduct in the Parliament all over the Southwest while also reducing every form of bickering.
At our level in the various State House of Assembly, we believe that if we can come together at this level to come up with a position on our best to put in place a standing orders and rules of business that will bring about performance of our responsibility in our various State House of Assembly, it will be better for us such that we'll have a very strong and formidable institution in the legislative arm of government of southwestern states.
Standing order and the rules are the compelling procedure that must be taken in legislature. So we want to see how we can further integrate Southwest Houses of Assembly. If we do it successfully, you may see other regions also doing theirs, and at the end of the day, the regions in the country can see the need to have a uniform procedure in their various houses of assembly, and that will strengthen democracy. That will further develop, the practice of legislature in all the states of the Federation. So it's a way to conscientize ourselves of the need to grow from where we are. We will buy from Ogun will buy from Lagos, Lagos will buy from Ondo, Ondo will buy from Ekiti, Ekiti will buy from Oyo. So we just look at the major areas in the various rules that should be strengthened, and we just do it. So we will be speaking, we will have almost same practice, in the Southwest.
The spirit of the Southwest integration too, I think is very important. Now, the long and short of what we have come to do here is for us to have at least a way to enhance the processes, of doing legislative business. And there's nothing wrong for us to learn from one another, for us to share our success stories, for us to share our challenges, so that we can understand some of the peculiarities as it exists in some other states, and for us to be able to harmonize all these things. Let us look at what is obtainable, probably in National Assembly, because usually our operations is actually fashioned outside the National Assembly, the House of Commons, and so these are where we draw precedent, and this is where we make reference to.
The three-day meeting also had in attendance consultants who dished out teachings on legislative procedures.
The standing rules define the procedure, right? The Parliament adopts in arriving at critical decisions, especially policy formulation, the conduct of members while in the legislature, as well as how they take decisions. And if that process is weak, the outcome in most cases is likely to be also poor. So what we are doing is The legislature is expected to regularly or periodically update those standing rules to reflect current realities and also emerging issues. I'm sure you are aware of the current issues that most of the legislatures are faced with, the issues around constant removal of presiding officers, largely because the rules are weak, the standing orders are not properly developed. You know, our democracy is evolving, and as we continue to implement and test our democracy, there is need for us to continue to fill in those gaps that are identified in the course of it. So the whole essence is, one, to create stability within the legislature, to strengthen their own internal processes and systems to enable them function optimally.
From what I've learned here today, I've seen that we have some laws, some of our rules and regulations are obsolete, and that we have to move with the emerging trend in the world as of today. So for me, I'm looking forward to having a better and standard and modern rules and regulations in the Houses of Assembly, so that at the end of the day, we will have limited cases in the court. Lawmakers will be better informed and as to what guides them in the Houses of Assembly.
These will develop, same and common rules all around Southwest, which simply means that it's going to be difficult for any member of any house to violate the rules and get away with it. Because what is operational in Osun is same thing in Lagos and Oyo. So if you are claiming rights which is outside the provision of the rules, you can easily be called to order. And also, we believe strongly that it will continue to deepen democratic activities in such ways when we have same rules and operate at the same level.
It is believed that when the rules and procedures on ethics and privileges of the legislature among the member states are held sacrosanct, there will be limitation to invasion into legislative affairs, which have become the order of the day in some states in Nigeria.
And with that, we've come to the end of the program this week. Thank you for watching. Please join us again next time for another exciting episode. To catch up with previous episodes of the program, log on to www.youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Abimbola Agbibi. See you next time.